Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Andrew, and we are the IB English guys. And today we are looking at another text type on our countdown to paper one. Mr. Giles, today we're looking at a brochure.
That's right. It is a digital brochure. We think about brochures traditionally as like the trifold brochure we'd see in an office or a counseling center. But in this case, it's a digital brochure to inform us and give us information about the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, I think they're going to be trying to recruit some potential soldiers, Giles. Let's see how they do it, okay? What do you say we talk about some text type conventions for brochures?
Great idea. We want to think about building our toolbox and thinking about the different techniques. The first thing we want to think about are the images and icons. Again, this is a digital brochure. It's meant to get our attention, so these impactful images and icons are going to be doing just that.
Yeah, also we want to think about the title, the headings, and the subheadings as well, Mr. Giles. These help navigate the reader through the brochure. We can think of these as sort of thesis statements and topic sentences. They sort of capture main ideas of different sections. We want to look at those subtitles and we want to look at the subheadings and titles. Thank
you. That's right. It's kind of like the website. We want to have a short, impactful sections. We also want to think about font. Think about font style, font size, font color. All those things are used effectively in brochures. And those are, again, good choices and good things to talk about.
Yeah, also thinking about good choices, we want to keep our paragraphs quite short and we want to have our sections short. Remember, the goal is not to tell every bit of information we know about the topic, but to capture just the most important ideas and then share that in the brochure.
That's great. Again, we want to think about another convention is negative space. By that, I mean, we don't want a crowded brochure. We want to think about how they're using space to draw our attention to certain ideas and sections.
Yeah, some of those ideas, Mr. Giles, will be given through slogans or poll quotes. Of course, a poll quote is when someone or the organization or the entity says something important. We want to pull that out and feature that somewhere on the brochure. So it's almost like it almost takes the place of an image, Mr. Giles, that poll quote.
Yeah, that's right. Great. Again, used effectively in a lot of brochures. We love symbolism. We talk about symbolism in photographs and different text types. Again, think about objects and different aspects of images that we can talk about symbolically.
Yeah, Mr. Giles, because it's a brochure, it's going to be persuasive in nature. We want to remember our friends' ethos, pathos, and logos. Of course, think about how that brochure is establishing credibility, how it's evoking emotion in the reader, and how it's making a logical argument.
That's great. And again, this text type needs to be simple. It needs to be clean. We want to think about the simplification of language, also the simplification of the layout. And these are effective in a good brochure.
Yeah, we want to think about the structure as well, Mr. Giles, how they're presenting that argument. And we'll see that oftentimes in a problem solution format, where the brochure will present a dilemma or something wrong or some issue in society, and then give you a simple solution on how to take action or remedy that situation.
That's right. Okay, now that we've talked about conventions, let's dive in and let's look at this really impactful brochure. This is part of an 8-page brochure, and we picked 2 pages. The first page we want to think about the following guiding question. Why don't you read that for us?
Sure, Mr. Giles. The guiding question is as follows. How does the digital brochure incorporate structure and style to communicate a central idea about the U.S. Navy? Giles, you know what I'm going to ask you.
I do. You're going to say, what do I? Yeah, we want to think about the key words.
Tell me the key words.
Structure and style. It's a lot of what those conventions, what we were talking about. We want to think about the choices, how they've structured this, and again, what kind of moves they've used stylistically. So
of course, all along thinking about that central idea or main message.
That's right.
What do you say we take a stab at page 1 of this digital brochure and talk about what we notice?
Page 1 is almost like the cover of this brochure, and this is a very impactful cover in particular. The thing I'm drawn to immediately is this bold font, this title, Navy Warrior. I love the way the A is formatted with the silhouette of this soldier with this sort of confident stance, looking, very imposing. And the word warrior has all kinds of implications.
It sure does, Mr. Giles. And I think that warrior standing quite confidently, the A, he's almost a repetition of the 2 soldiers who are the focal point of the frame itself. Giles, I noticed that these 2 soldiers are silhouetted. Perhaps they're looking out into the horizon, thinking about their potential, their passion, their all they can accomplish. They're standing quite confidently with their weapons sort of over their shoulder. The Navy SEALs looks like a tough group of people, Giles.
Yeah, they do. And again, these particular warriors are nondescript. Because they're silhouettes, we can't identify anything about them, their race, their gender. They're just powerful figures that are standing there in the low angle shot. Again, this is a photograph, but it almost has this sort of idea. It looks almost like just a black silhouette that's been sort of superimposed over something.
Giles, if I follow their line of sight, if I look over their shoulder and follow their line of sight, I'm looking out into this, mind you, it looks like a pentagon, which is quite symbolic for the United States military. Anyway,
That's
but I'm
right.
looking at this pentagon, I see SEAL, EOD, I see a bunch of other specialties that the Navy offers. And regardless of the specialty they offer, I noticed that this placement of the symbol of the eagle. What can we say about that eagle, Giles?
Oh, the eagle is, again, that symbolic representation of the patriotism and strength. And this, again, has that sort of unique, all those connotations that it has.
Yeah, and it's also juxtaposed with the anchor. Of course, the Navy, their land and their air and sea, right? So they've got the ships, the aircraft carriers with the anchor. Then they've got the bird, the freedom of the eagle. They got a lot going on here to represent the Navy.
And this is superimposed on this image in the sky, and the way these figures are looking up at this is drawing our attention. This is the gaze of these soldiers looking up, and again, the symbolic meaning of the symbolic weight of this horizon and the image of the sky. Again, it's making me think about the future. It's making me think about goals.
Well,
I got a lot to talk about.
Also, the lower left corner, that same image again, but this time in gold, really accentuates the value of the U.S. Navy, how this is a really precious organization. I love it. Lots to talk about.
And I guess the last thing is just that logo at the bottom where it says America's Navy. That's almost like a rebranding. It didn't say U.S. Navy. It says America's Navy.
The apostrophe S, belonging, possessive. What do you think that says there, Giles?
Yeah, I just think it's like, again, it connotes this idea of patriotism that we represent. That we belong to America.
Yeah, we belong to America. That's a great feeling for a young man or woman interested in joining the SEALs.
Yeah.
What do you say we go to page 2 and think about this brochure?
That's good. So now we're getting into more detail. Now we're learning about one of those 5 branches in the Pentagon in the sky. This is the famous Navy SEALs. This is going to give us information about the SEALs and what it is. We notice, again, this sort of the layout, this way it's structured. We see that sort of banner at the top with SEAL Special Warfare. And again, the icon at the top, it's giving that sort of unity of structure and style. But again, the first section, you know your potential. What do you notice, Mr.
Giles? The word you and your, and if I carry into that next paragraph, I see you and your multiple times. That synthetic personalization really makes it feel like whoever's reading this, they're being spoken to directly.
That's right.
And that's really motivating, something inside you pushing against you, destined for greatness. That makes me feel motivated. It makes me feel inspired. Giles, I want to be a SEAL.
Yeah, and this whole idea of being something different. You're going away from convention. You're setting your own rules. The second paragraph talks about how you're not part of the rank and file, the 9-to-5 routine. They're really juxtaposing the Navy SEAL, the warrior, with the average everyday, 9-to-5 worker. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, and talk about power, Giles. Look how they use font in the next section. All font, and then the lettering as well as all caps. In the first short syntax sentence, it's just Navy SEALs, period. Talk about a simple solution to a complex problem. Navy SEALs is the answer.
Toughest, most highly trained military group that ever existed. There's a bit of hyperbole, definitely the superlatives of the most and toughest. These are very strong use of language.
Talk about language. Check out this next lexical cluster. We see words like uncompromising, sacrificing, pushing, pulling, electrifying. Giles, this is an incredible array of words to describe this elite fighting force.
Yeah,
incredibly motivating.
Yeah, you're right, and it's quite strong. And I think, again, using verbs and adjectives that really have that sort of weight and power. The second to last section talks about legacy, the legacy of achievement. We're talking about history. The word legacy really has the connotations of tradition.
Well, Giles, you think about tradition in the United States, a lot of people think about famous presidents. They think of John F. Kennedy in 1962, how he started this elite fighting force, the SEALs, and we have physical places like Grenada, the Persian Gulf, Panama, the Middle East. Giles, why do we include these names? What does that do for the reader?
These are places of conflict. And again, they're talking about the sort of sacrifice that soldiers make when they go into these places of conflict. And again, this is perhaps appealing to a young person or person considering, joining the Navy SEALs to be a part of that. And again, talking about their technology and reconnaissance and weaponry, these are all the sort of credibility that the SEALs
Giles,
have.
I love this sentence. There are soldiers and there are warriors. What can we say about that in terms of stylistic feature and effect?
Well, that's parallel structure. That just means that those two phrases they're written in parallel. But again, we have that juxtaposition of the soldier, but then also the warrior. So I think it's really, I think again, they're trying to show how Navy SEALs are special. This is really the central message of this page.
Giles, and then in closing, we have that send off at the bottom. I will never fail in all caps with the ellipsis. I love the use of the ellipsis there, kind of insinuating that I'll never fail, but there's more to do. Like I will forever continue pursuing my mission in the Navy SEALs, and will continue. I think the ellipsis implies unfinished business.
Yeah, and there's so many superlatives and absolutes are like always or never. These are words that are 100%, and I think that again is the whole idea of it being a unique and powerful and special branch that is clearly the objective.
Giles,
of this
don't give
brochure.
him too much, because folks, just to remind you of the guiding question. How does the digital brochure incorporate structure and style to communicate a central idea about the U.S. Navy? We recommend that you try to write a thesis, write yourself a rudimentary outline. Maybe you want to write the paper. Come on back in 2 days. We'll show you a sample answer, and you can compare your work to ours. Giles, send us off.
Yeah, I guess as someone who joined the Peace Corps, who never joined the military, this is again just just thinking about how powerful this particular brochure was in communicating that idea. And again, it's, I think, something that would be fun to write about, I think.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time. Stay with us. We'll take you to Paper One success. Take care.
Bye, guys.